Welcome, everyone, to another one of our series introducing our affiliated partners. So, this month we're going to be introducing ReefWatch Marine Conservation India, and we have Dr. Suranjana Ganguly joining us to present a little bit about their work. Keep in mind, India is a massive country, so you kind of run us through how the project is able to work in such a vast country. And if you do have any questions later on or you want to reach out to them, they do have a website as well as Facebook. Do you have Instagram, Suranjana?
We do,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
So we will send you the handles. We'll put them also on the YouTube so that you guys can check them out directly as well. Okay.
Yeah,
So
great.
starting with our introduction, um, would you mind telling as well? I just told the name of the organization, but where in general are you based at, and also what is your role within the organization?
Yeah, sure. So, ReefWatch started off in 1993. So it's been around actually for many, many years, but primarily focused on like coral restoration in the Andamans, which is like, an island off the coast of India, like in the south. And yeah, so that's where they started off for a long time. And then I think we started in around 2000. When I say we, I mean the project, which was the Marine Megafauna Stranding Program, which was
Mm-hmm.
the pilot project of the Marine Megafauna Stranding Program started off in Karnataka, in the state in the south, with a large coastline, in partnership with the forest department, because obviously the animals that are classified under marine megafauna are all schedule 1 and under the care of the forest department. And for all of this time, really there was nothing really being done in terms of like a cohesive approach to these animals that have been stranding along the coastline, or animals coming up alive. There were individual people that were sometimes given the care of these animals, and but there was no standardized approach. So when we started off in Karnataka, that was in around, I think, 2018 or 19. And we started working with the Karnataka department, and they would bring us sea turtles, and we would go out there and do postmortems of whales, dolphins, which also kind of helped understand what kind of marine megafauna were even visiting our coasts, which I don't think we actually even really knew. We still don't know. We're still discovering stuff. So yeah, it's been quite a wild journey in that sense. And so when we started off in Karnataka with the forest department, we were like 2 years later, or some, I think it was about 2 years later, we were invited by the Goa Forest Department, which is the adjoining state to Karnataka, to come and start the marine megafauna program there as well. And that very quickly turned into a massive program, because Goa has lifeguards all across the beaches, called Drishti, run by um, a company called Drishti. And
Okay.
there was also another central. Sorry, I'm just going on and on. You can stop me
No,
at some
no,
point.
no. I'm enjoying it.
So there was already a pre-existing stranding network in Goa, which we didn't have in Karnataka. We had to set up our own stranding network, which was basically locals, fishermen, forest department, people in this general area, who would report animals that were found on the beach. But in Goa, the difference was that because we had Drishti and we had Terra Conscious that was already running this reporting system, it
Yeah.
was basic. We kind of plugged into a system that was already there, which was great, because then it was this big collaboration. And every time they would report these animals, we would be the first responders. So they'd say, okay, there's this, there's this finless porpoise that's just washed up on this beach. And so we would be the ones who would go there and do the postmortem, collect the data in a systematic manner, and then come back and compile it, so that we had like a repository of like, okay, these are the animals that came in, these were their general morphometrics.
Mm-hmm.
And then occasionally we take samples that we'd send for genetics. We've done that once, but that's a whole nother discussion, I feel, where to send samples. But yeah. So yeah,
So
I guess that's
your place of acting started in Karnataka and expanded to Goa, and you're focusing in these two states.
yes. So at the moment we are focused in these two states, but as we speak, Shantanu, who is like the project head, who's also a veterinarian, but he kind of manages the expansion of the projects. We've just got permission from the Maharashtra Forest Department to expand a little bit there. So he's at the moment doing his recce along the coast, and getting permission. So that will probably start up soon. and the Orissa Forest Department has been spoken to as well. So, I mean, who knows, right? Like
Yeah,
it
I mean,
looks like,
there's an end of possibility because there's not many projects working for sure around
yeah.
the coast with marine species. So your work at the moment is focusing on the west coast of India.
At the moment, yeah, two states on the west coast of India, and we're setting up one more center in Karnataka because it's such a long coastline. So
Hmm.
initially we had one center in Kundapur, but it would take like if we had a turtle washing up in the north side, it would be like a 4 hour drive to go pick up that turtle and then figure out where to keep it, and then bring it back, and it was just too chaotic. So we've just set up another base in Karnataka. So technically three bases now.
Okay. And so these centers, well, this one was just very recently set up. The other two that you've had, how long have they been operating for? Like there's also kind of
So I
recent
think
projects with the rescue centers.
no. So I mean, when I say rescue centers, these are still very like basic, I mean, it's
Hmm.
basic because we haven't got space from the department yet. We're in the process of figuring that out. But in Karnataka, we've rented like a house, which is close to the beach, and that's where we put up our tanks. But in Goa, it's like a house which is very inland, so getting seawater is a real challenge. So these are the kind of centers that we've set up, and we're hoping to kind of um, have more purpose-built centers in the future. That's
Yeah.
definitely the vision. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because all of this is starting up. So it's very exciting as well to start gathering all the funding and the space to be able to expand the proper way. So what kind of
exactly.
sea turtle species do you see and then off the coast of India that you get reports of strandings?
I mean, so far, pretty much like everything, of course, except the Kemp's Ridley and the
Flatback.
leatherback and the other one, the flatback. So we've never had any of those, but everything else otherwise, other than those, we have the greens, the olives, the hawksbills, the loggerhead.
Loggerheads. So do they all also nest in India or they just happen to be around water-wise, like foraging?
So the leatherbacks actually do nest in the Andamans. There are reports of them
Hmm.
nesting there. Mostly olives. That majority of the nests that we get both in Karnataka and Goa are olives.
Okay. And how many cases do you reckon between the centers you get per year? And if there's a
I mean,
specific species that you see the
think
most?
Goa has been. I think last year I just got the numbers up, so I'm gonna tell you because I never remember numbers. That's like a problem. I have a handicap. But yeah, I think in Karnataka it's a little less in Karnataka because, like I said, vast coastline. We don't have
Hmm.
people who really like will report all the time. But let me just tell you. Just give me 1 second.
Don't worry.
But
You're not the only one that doesn't know those numbers. We usually only remember them for reports.
yeah, seriously, like same. But yeah, so like in last year we had 29 turtles in Karnataka. And when I say we had them, it was only during 3 months. Like it's during a 3 month period mostly that these animals will come up, the majority. But we'll have
Mm.
like a few stragglers here and there, that will come up, out of the monsoon season. And in Goa, we had about 34. Like we had 45 last year,
Mhm.
turtles coming up.
And does
And
Goa also have a season that you see most of these animals coming in?
it's the same season with both of them.
So
Because
why is
again,
it monsoon season?
great question, but I think it's mostly, and there's no fishing activity at this point. But what happens is that there's a lot of currents that whirl around,
Mm.
at this point. And so turtles maybe that have been out at sea for a while, have been stuck in nets for a while, those guys will kind of be pushed into like onto shore. So we don't do rescues out at sea because, like I said, during the monsoon period, we don't have any boats going out. So there's nobody who can really go and retrieve
Hmm.
these animals for us. So these are animals that have actually washed up on the beach with some of them in nets, sometimes multiples of them in nets, or some of them
Hmm.
just coming out like looking like really emaciated, looking like in a bad condition. They've probably been struggling for a while and then they've not been able
So
to
you're saying
find
that
cover.
most of your cases are ghost net entanglements and or chronic debilitation syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a bit like
Pretty.
the Maldives, but I remember we were discussing that your season is the opposite to the Maldives season in terms
Yeah.
of receiving these animals. So because of the currents being also shifted.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. And
and
lots of foreign bodies also. We get a
okay,
lot
I
of
was
foreign.
gonna ask you that, like, do your entanglements pertain more to the olives and then foreign bodies to other species, or do you see any species that you have
I
that
mean,
in
for
time.
us, it's pretty much now part of our protocol that because we have seen foreign bodies in almost every single green sea that we have had, and but not all the time will they be fully obstructed. So some of them will just pass plastic, when they're in captivity. The hawksbills, though, we've had a few that have been actually like come in like in a debilitated state with obstruction from foreign bodies.
Okay. And what is your capacity at the moment in terms of how many animals can you receive at one given time if you have that with the
I
tanks
think
that
the
you have?
most we've had is around 11 at one time, and that's been really hard because, like I said, this is like a house. So it's like, like imagine we have like tanks, one after the other, like, just kind of put together, and we try to separate them out as much as possible, in terms of these are the critical cases, these are the for release ones. And, because we use, what's the word? Plastic tanks that can be moved around and cleaned very easily. So the tanks keep moving around, and then we try and fit in as many as we can.
And you have to fill these up manually, these tanks?
Yes, yeah.
That's a whole lot of work as well,
Yeah,
added on
yeah.
to that. It's
And we have to
crazy.
fill them up manually. We have to, every day, they are obviously empty, they scrub, they clean, they sun dry, then they put back. And so we have a rotation of tanks as well. So there's a lot of manual work that goes
Logistics.
to this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same across the three locations. Or the one
At
in
the moment,
Karnataka, you don't even have
yeah, no, the
salt
Karnataka
water.
one is the Karnataka one, because we get less turtles, we have a little more space there, so it's actually more convenient. Goa is chaos when it's season, and the second base in Karnataka is only now starting up. So this season will be when it's active. So we'll just have to wait and see what
We'll
happens.
see. Exciting
Yeah.
to see how that works. And how is so for those of you who don't know, Dr. Suranjana is also a veterinarian, the
Oh yeah,
senior
sorry.
vet at the place. And so how is the veterinary care managed at your place? Do you have a vet in each of these locations? Are you based
Yes,
at
yeah.
one? How does it work?
So I am actually based in inland in Bangalore, but I have there are vets in each of our centers. So even the second base in Karnataka is going to be getting another vet. So the idea is that basically each center will have a veterinarian in charge. They have clear protocol, and the idea is for me to kind of supervise between all of this. So whenever there is like I'm like troubleshooter, person. Like whenever there's like something is not working, the animal's not looking good, something it's kind of going back down, there's a surgical procedure that needs to be done, that's when I will go into any of these centers. Or generally if I'm around in Goa, mostly Goa, because Karnataka, we get a lot more cases in Goa, so I'm just in Goa more. But we do go down to Karnataka if there are procedures and stuff to be done. So yeah.
And I
So there's
heard that now you've also started a telemedicine support system there for other Indian vets that might need assistance outside of your center. So how does that work? And when did that started?
I mean, that started, I think it was last year. I can't remember exactly, but it's called Matsya. And the idea of Matsya is to kind of lend support to people. Like if you're walking across a beach and you see an animal dead or whatever it is, to
Yeah.
just kind of have like a central reporting repository. So if, obviously if the animal's dead, it's more like, okay, can you send us pictures? Can you give us a GPS location so that we know that this is happening and that there's some numbers there.
Yeah.
And if the animal is alive, then I will lend support. So they'll probably say, what do I do? Next steps, step one, step two, that kind of thing. So it's mostly just hand holding through that.
Because you don't have enough work, so just put yourself into more.
Yeah, just
So I know that you've just mentioned that your facilities are pretty basic. Do you have access to any veterinary equipment from like microscope to X-ray or ultrasound or something like that, or how?
So we have a microscope and we have stains. That's about all we have at the base. That's all we have space for, because also we deal with seabirds as well. And sometimes, the seasons coincide. So we'll have seabirds in one part of the house. We'll have people living in one part of the house. We have sea turtles in one part of the house. And there's constant movement because everyone needs things done according to a schedule. So it's pretty chaotic. But we do have access, obviously, to clinics where we take these animals. So we take the
Okay.
animals for their x-rays. X-rays is part of our protocol. So everyone gets x-rayed, but ultrasounds are not always done because we have, like I said, we have to go to another clinic, and it depends on if they know how to do it or
Yeah.
not. And
Are these vet clinics or human clinics?
No, veterinary. So in Goa, it's a veterinary clinic. In Karnataka, it's a human clinic. So we only get time slots once the humans are out. In the
Yeah. At least it's good that you have those collaborations happening so you can get access to a bit further more
yeah,
equipment
no,
that you
for
need.
sure. Yeah.
Do you guys also carry out any research with turtles? Obviously, I know you do that with the corals as well, etc. But are you able to do any
I
research on the
mean,
turtles?
veterinary research in terms of we've just started collaborating with with a center with the central government lab in Chennai where we send
Mm-hmm.
histopath samples. So we're sending histology samples to them, and genetic samples we were sending to another central agency in Hyderabad. So I mean that's what we do, but mostly it's like we do case study, like we are trying to publish a few papers just based on our findings,
Mm-hmm.
based on like say veterinary patterns that we've seen in a certain kind of problem, like a primary cause of death will
Yeah.
generally show this kind of a pattern, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, good. And what would you say are then the main goals or objectives of ReefWatch Marine Conservation?
So I think the main goals are like twofold, right? Like, so one of the main goals obviously is to be able to extend this kind of centralized approach to like marine, conservation in a way to kind of, one is obviously have a standardized approach to postmortems and make sure postmortems are done,
Mm-hmm.
so that we understand certain patterns about why these are happening, even if they're just the bigger patterns, maybe not the micro patterns yet, but that is the ultimate goal, to be able to really understand, like even internally, externally, whatever we see. The second is, to be able to advise on policy based on what we actually see, because nobody has done this collated work across the coast.
Mm-hmm.
Has nobody has been doing PMs or veterinary approaches patterns. So we've not been able to effectively build policy around tourism or fishing or those kind of things, and also enforcement. And the third thing is to be prepared for any kind of disaster, to have some kind of some kind of like,
Yes, I completely
early
understand.
warning.
It feels like
So that's the other
catastrophic, but the
part.
reality is they do
Yeah.
happen.
I
So
mean, we
you,
live in catastrophe. Like, so there's catastrophe all around us all the time.
yeah. And I mean, not that you're dealing with that side of India yet, but actually on the west side, then you have the big arribadas happening with the olive ridleys, right? So then you also have a predisposition of having all these big numbers of animals also potentially getting caught in things like you've had those mass mortality events last year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
In Chennai.
definitely, okay. So
Mm.
that's definitely lots to learn from that and trying to understand what's happening around India coast and not only Indian coast because these turtles migrate, but to be able
Exactly.
to effectively take care of that for sure.
And so
Do you have?
that's the other,
Sorry, sorry.
well, sorry, no, I was just saying that's the other thing. Like you said, turtles migrate, animals migrate, people
Mm-hmm.
migrate. But the important thing about also this work is that it's not limited to India. The idea is to have like a kind of global approach to this, so that all of us working in silos, all of us working in pockets, are actually exchanging this information, trying to
Mm-hmm.
make it a safer sea, for all of these animals and for us. So that's the ultimate goal for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we share the same the same
Yeah.
values and ideas. Do you have any story that you'd like to share about any patient that might have marked you somehow, whether positively or negatively, to be fair, but any interesting
mean,
ideas?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I mean, there are quite a few of these cases, and like for me, because I was primarily a small animal and elephant vet, before I got into this, so it was like such a huge learning curve, and it still is. Like I'm constantly learning, constantly trying to change things up, and things surprise me all the time. But I think one of the cases that we had was this green sea turtle, who we dealt with. Her name was Percy, and she was just like, I mean, I walked in there and I saw her, and she was the most pathetic looking little sea turtle. She couldn't lift her head up. We couldn't put her in the water, so because her head would just drop, like it would keep dropping. And so we were, she was on her meds, and for months she was with us. I think for 6 months. And I was sure she wouldn't make it because she just looked so bad. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just keep going. We'll do whatever we can, but this is really not looking good. And we did X-rays. Her lungs were not looking very good. They were looking pretty congested. There was free air. All in all, just bad. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed, but at some point there was a switch. And this turtle just magically got, like maybe not magically, but it felt magically. She really started making like real like progress. I think it was like maybe she was with us 6 months. So I think about 4 months in, she started like she wasn't pooping. And when she did poop, there was a little, like in India, we drink tea in little paper glasses,
Mm.
these little chai glasses. And she pooped out one of those. And I think she was just really badly obstructed. Like something was going, like and you couldn't see any of that in her guts. Like it just looked really swollen and gassy and stuff. So we were just like, we're trying to get her to poop, but you can only do so much, right? And then
Mm.
and she did, and it passed eventually, and then we finally ended up releasing her. But I think that was possibly one of my most rewarding cases, and it's something I always use with the vets to tell them, listen, like sometimes these animals look like they're going to die, but you'll be surprised at their resilience and what they can actually do for themselves. And our
Yeah.
role as vets is really just to support them and make sure it is as comfortable for them as possible. Like beyond that, you're not going to save everyone. You're just going to try and keep them as comfortable as possible, you know?
Yeah, especially when you're
So
coming from a mammal background, moving on to
yeah,
reptiles
yeah,
is already a big change in itself, especially with the time that they take to respond to things. But with sea
yeah,
turtles, I find like it's exactly what you're saying. Like sometimes you just support them nutritionally with the good water quality, with fluid therapy, and they actually respond really good and start recovering on their own. They have really good systems in place. I mean, they've been around for millions of years, so they are built for survival.
yeah.
And we just sometimes need to give them that safe haven and support for them to then do the healing on their own. It's,
Themselves. Yeah.
that feels magic
No,
just because they're
you
just incredible.
to
Um,
do their magic. Yeah.
do you have any favorite fact about sea turtles, or why were you drawn to work with sea turtles? Or it just happened because you were doing elephants, so how come you became into marine megafauna to begin with?
mean, I think it was just, I think I was so pleasantly surprised by sea turtles. I think I mean, we all have learned about sea turtles. Everyone knows sea turtles exist and whatever. But who really talks about how much personality sea turtles have, right? Or how playful they are, and or how they have so much of an opinion on things. Like you don't realize that because everyone's just like, oh, they're a reptile that lives in the ocean, and they're like, all these random facts and stuff. But
Mhm.
when you're like face to face and actually treating them and seeing them day in and day out, and all of these, they all have such unique personalities. They have things that they like, things that they really dislike, food that they like. I just love it. I love it. I
And
love
they
how
can be pretty
they have
stubborn.
so much to say. Yeah.
Very true. They can be pretty stubborn. They can starve themselves for not getting what they
Oh, yeah.
want. That it is incredible. Do you have any way that members of your local community can help you guys in sea turtle conservation, or I guess in general marine megafauna?
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, there's no way we can do it without the local community. And that's something we recognize. And the idea is also to kind of work with the local community to educate them about why these
Mhm.
animals are important for their fish catch or for the sustainability of their oceans and beaches. But also physically, we can't do it without them because they are our standing network. So if
Mhm.
they don't report these animals to us, we have nothing to do. So it's it's a very mutual relationship. And it's not easy. Like working with communities is a long-term project, and sometimes it takes time for communities to build trust. So yeah, so it's an ongoing effort, but
So you
definitely
do
it's something.
education at with the local community as well. You have
Yeah,
programs
yeah,
for
we
that.
have an outreach team in each of our bases. We have outreach. We're also doing outreach in the bigger cities like in Bangalore and stuff. We're doing like a little, at the moment there's a little um children's summer camp that's running with the Bangalore Aquarium, where we're doing like 2 modules on conservation and what it means, why is this important. So yeah, we're trying to do as much as we can in
Mhm.
like tiny pockets, but I think in the future we'll probably have to think about also collaborations and working with people who are already in the field,
Mhm.
see how we can add
Do you
to
have?
build a curriculum in schools as well. That's something
Yeah.
I feel very strongly about. I'd love to do that
Exactly. Start with the children, they will also teach their parents.
always.
Um,
Yeah.
do you have already currently any volunteering that's available for people to join you and help you, or that's not possible yet?
So we do have it, and it really depends on what kind of volunteering. So the veterinary volunteering part, we try to like we accept like maybe one or two volunteers,
Hmm.
but again, space and things like that, because it's so tight. we have to be very careful with who we admit and when we admit them, and they'll have to possibly look for their own accommodation. So it's still in process. And, like I said, like as we establish our centers a little bit more and we kind of have a little more space, it's something we definitely want to do. But at the moment, we have an entire volunteering system with the nest monitoring in Karnataka. So we have people who come and, so in Karnataka, we do the in situ monitoring. So it's not, we don't take the eggs out. So people will camp near, the
The
eggs and,
beaches.
like that kind of protect and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we have like a full program for that.
Because in India, sea turtles are owned by the government, right? Like you cannot, even though you're an NGO, so you still depend on the government to do any work with these
Completely.
species, correct?
We can't,
Okay.
so we can't, yeah, because been given permission by the department. Everything that we do, whether it's publishing pictures and information on the internet, publishing papers in scientific journals, putting any information out, everything we have to get permission from the forest department,
Okay.
because these are all scheduled animals. So, and forest department in India technically is, I mean, nobody can come in and handle these animals without permissions. So yeah.
So that's why things also take a bit longer, because there's a lot of bureaucracy as well and
Yes.
responsibility.
For
Well,
sure.
you're
Yeah.
going in the right direction, because the project's already going far within the time frame that you've had. And I know how how busy and taking all these other projects you are. So thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us a bit about how the chaotic world of reef watch and conservation works,
Oh gosh,
and
thank you
what
so
you're
much for
into.
having me. And I'm so excited to be part of this network, like where we can all talk about this stuff that nobody really knows about, but it's great.
No, it is great. So if would you mind telling us what the website is? Is it
Oh,
ReefWatch Concept? Do you want me to check
hold-
that just for us to leave it here recorded?
okay,
Um,
I'm just gonna tell you. Just hold on. I think it's
Look, I
ReefWatch,
have it here. It's
ReefWatch India. Yes,
reefwatchindia.org.
.org. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, feel free to come to go and check the website. It's quite a nice one too. If you ever need to reach out to Dr. Suranjana directly, you can also send us an email. We'll put you guys in contact. Other than that, everyone have a lovely day. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Suranjana, for
Thanks.
replying to everything. Bye.
Bye. Bye.